right? Let's continue here. Let's see what happens tonight. Will, thanks for the like. Thank you, much appreciated. Okay, so hello everybody. I hope that you had a good week so far. I hope that you are safe and sound. And I'm saying this because of the situation, which is a little bit special, right? So I didn't had much time to work on it as I as I thought. Sorry, as I thought I could have. So yeah, here we are, one more week with Mr. Cavill. It's getting close to be finished though, so it's fine. But yeah, it's taking some long time. Yeah, sorry if today I am a little bit unfocused. But yeah, I'm a little bit that's because I am because of the situation in Ukraine, because we have my wife has relatives there, so my extended family lives in Ukraine, in Kiev to be more exact. So we are extremely worried and and frightened by what is to come, and for the safety of them. So yeah, that's I'm a little bit wear down because of that. So I'm sorry if I'm not in my in my best. But yeah, I've been trying to work these days, but it's we cannot take it away from our heads. So yeah, it's been a little bit hard these days because of it. Lucius, hey man, how are you? Feels like the world has changed a lot since last week. Hopes your relatives will be okay. Horrible situation. Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, it has changed indeed, right? Yes, it has, and for us especially, since for now it's just it touched us in a direct way. Hey, Vigo. Yeah. Today Bilbo, my dog, is gonna be here with us, so he might do some noise. He has some things on the throat, so he will be coughing and doing very strange and annoying noises. So apologies for that. I will try my best to mute the mic when that happens. But yeah, so as I was saying, yeah, since it's affect us directly in that regard through our relatives, so yeah, it's things have changed quite a lot. So it's quite insane, to be honest. And yeah, we are very very worried. It's like, I mean, this is for real. I mean, this is not a film, this is not a video game, this is real stuff, and people are dying for real. But yeah, for now they are fine, but yeah, we'll see, because the shit storm it's about to fall into Kiev. So yeah. Juan Toledano, hello, good evening, everybody. Hello, man, welcome, like always. John Lemon, I like that name. Welcome to the stream, by the way. Take care, support, and respect your work. As always, thanks, man. Much appreciated. Thank you. Milbert, hey, how are you? How it's going? So yeah, sorry, I don't want to. Yeah, there he goes. Bilbo. Pumba. Yeah, I don't want to. Yeah, I mean, the situation is shitty enough, and I don't want to bore you with more stuff like that. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to say really, but I would rather talk about something different. Yeah, just as a side note, by the way, kind of just was looking at some data from my social media, and since I posted last Friday about the war and yeah, how worried I was for my relatives and everything, 25 persons just unfollowed me on social media, and I guess they are Russians. Since I actually got a lot of direct messages about it, saying that everything was bullshit and lies and stuff like that. People, tumba ya. Tumba, tumba. Muy bien. So yeah, kind of funny. And don't get me wrong. I mean, I love Russians. I said it so many times. I love Russians. I love Russia. I know this is nothing to do with Russian people. And I don't blame Russian people for this. But yeah, at the same time, so many people are brainwashed there by their propaganda that is quite insane. So I feel sorry and worried at the same time because of that. But yeah, anyway, I prefer not to talk about it anyway. Milbert, hope everyone is all right. Yeah, for now they are. For now they are, even though in a precarious situation. But yeah, for now they are okay. The problem is that they, yeah, like as I was saying, the shit storm, it's about to happen in Kiev, and yeah, we'll see. Pontus, hey Miguel, yeah, terrible times, yeah, understandable. Propaganda does terrible things possible. Yeah, it does indeed. It does indeed. But yeah, let's talk about other other things. I um I mean, this is just like I could say I've been obsessed with this all these days. Well, I'm still am. So I would be nice to have a little break. Unless you want, I mean, yeah, I mean, of course, if you want to talk about it, then sure. But I'm not gonna stop anybody talking about it if you feel for. But yeah, it's just that I don't know. I'm a little bit. How do you say? In one way, I'm a little bit divided because in some way I feel that we are genuinely living through very special. I mean, very special moment in history for real, and not just in this case because of how it affects my family, but for everybody worldwide. So in one way, I feel it's also important just to talk about it in that regard, and not just wash it away just because it might be not comfortable to talk about it. At the same time, I feel like yeah, perhaps better just to talk about the things that we normally talk here, so we don't think about it and have a little break from it. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, and just in case, if there is any discussions on the chat and there are some different opinions, please keep it civil. All right. I will not tolerate any type of disrespect to anybody. And I know it yeah, I mean, we're on the internet, right? So I know that you guys that normally are here, you are great people. So just like for any random that just comes by, yeah. So Diego, hi Miguel, it's the final countdown. Yes, it, it is. It is. 1 second. Yeah, my dog, he's not used to stay around here, so he's very agitated, I could say. Meeblert, yeah, intelligent dialogue is good. Well, for sure. But well, there it is. That's what I meant. Yeah, that was my dog. We have to keep him now here with me because if he does that, he will wake up Dante. So, yeah. Anyway, but yeah. So yeah, of course, any intelligent discussion, I'm up for it. But since it is a delicate and touchy subject, yeah, it can very easily degrade into something quite nasty if people disagree, and yeah, people are not. Yeah, well, you know what I mean. So I hope that if there are different opinions, and we can keep it civil. And I know there are some Russian speaking people in the chat sometimes from Russia. So again, I want to restate once again that I love Russian people. I love Russia. I love Russian culture, and I've been traveling around Russia, and I love it. I do have Russians relatives myself. So yeah, I don't have anything against Russians. Okay, because I've been accused of that already on social media, and it is just bonkers. I mean, as I said, I have Russian relatives, so yeah, it is insane to me. Yeah, so yeah. John Lemon, it is sad for Russians don't have control on their country policies. I don't take people with no consciousness seriously. I hope Ukraine and his people stay strong. I mean, it's sorry for my. Yeah, I don't know. It's totally fine, man. And yeah, I agree. I feel the same. And to be honest, I think to a certain degree it is the same in our countries. We don't have much control, but of course, in Russia at the moment, it's just yeah, it is not a democracy, right? So it is a fake democracy. Um, um, Miblert, what is your dog's name? Bilbo. Bilbo is his name, as you can get from that. Yes, I'm a real nerd. If you didn't notice already. Cantabrian, hey Miguel, portrait is coming along great. Thanks, man. Thank you, and like always, welcome to the stream. John, great name. Yes, I think so. Yes, I like it, and it fits very well. It is a golden retriever, and he's so kind and likes to eat a lot. So yeah. Mirror, that's a good name. Yeah, thanks. Rainer, nice, just in time. Hey there, Miguel. Hello, how are you doing? Welcome to the stream. By the way, again, like always, just to change the topic. So yeah, let's unless you yeah, I'm fine talking about the war in Ukraine. I'm actually I'm fine talking about it. As far as we talk in a civil way and with respect, regardless of things if we don't agree with each other. But yeah, to change the topic and going back to our favorite topic that I always mention. I'm still working on the tutorial, and it's coming along. It's yeah, it's it's been now it's a little bit of a challenge doing the how do you say the editing because I need to create some little bit more content that I didn't expect that I would need, like the banner that I posted on Instagram. I don't know if you have seen it, but yeah, stuff like that, just to kind of feel a little bit of of space in the tutorial, to have something to look at. Because if it just be just talking all the time without nothing to look at, it's kind of boring. So but yeah, it is gonna be pretty hardcore. So it's now that I'm re-listening everything, yeah. So it's of course it's focused on Space Marines, but there is a lot of things for illustration as a whole, as a discipline. So you could say there's a little bit of a mixed tutorial in that regard. So yeah, focusing on Space Marines, but there are plenty of things uh, about um, illustrating. Yeah, about the discipline of illustration in more general terms, but well, that are essential, I think, in my opinion, and that and does apply in this case for doing Space Marines. So obviously. Peter, okay, but how is the space pirate stuff coming along? Yeah, it's not coming along at all because yeah, I'm now, since I'm on the last push to just get rid of the fucking tutorial, to be honest. So I'm just putting all the energy into the tutorial at the moment, so I can get rid of it as soon as I can, and I can put all my energy into the Space Pirates project. So yeah, I'm trying to be disciplined and make an effort not to jump into it, because I'm very uh, saturated with the Space Marine tutorial thingy, and yeah. And at the same time, with all of this, with Ukraine, yeah, there's been a lot of distraction, even though also destruction. But yeah, I've been very distracted. That's what I want to say. Um, John, can't wait for the tutorial. Your works motivates and inspire me to learn more about digital painting. Well, that is very nice to say. Thank you. Thank you. yeah, I'm looking forward to release it as well. And like I said many times, to hear your feedback and in one way, also just so I can move to different things. Um, because I mean, yeah, it's. I know I'm repeating myself like a broken record, but it's just like it's been too long. It's been too long with it. Have you watched anything or read anything interesting this week? Because I myself have just been only looking at stuff from Ukraine. So yeah, is there anything cool out there to watch? Mm-hmm. Bert, I watch myself be stupid when I paint and draw. Mm, be here, it could be one guy with a banner or something. Yeah, and sorry, I'm not too talkative today. As I said, I'm a little bit uh, battered, one could say. So I feel like I need a little bit of peace of mind in some way, and always painting. I don't know about you guys, but to me, always, unless I'm doing a very um, how do you say, some type of design work that very intense. Um, Painting, it's like a meditation type of activity. It soothes my mind. Is it the same for you or any of you? I wonder. Thing is that I don't know if I want. Okay, maybe good. Okay. Um, it's now just I don't know. I don't know why it came to mind, but not that it's he'd scare me. He's so annoying. I feel so sorry for him because we don't know exactly what he gets in the throat. Something that's it's scratch him, but it's so annoying. Anyway, uh, before all this madness happened, um, there is this topic that I feel it is very interesting topic, extremely controversial topic as well, but one that I need to deal with all the time in my work, right, in the entertainment industry, and I had dealt with professionally myself. So I have a strong opinion from as a professional, and 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 it, as I said, it's a very controversial topic. So it's um, so I thought it would be interesting to talk about it sometime on the on the stream, and also hear what is your opinion. I'm just curious. And again, please just keep things civil, because as I said, it is a very controversial topic. But it's about diversity in in uh, um, in the work of fiction, right? TV series, films, or video games, etc., etc. And it's in relation to the latest drama or controversy regarding the Lord of the Rings um, discovery that some of the characters are gonna be of other um, ethnicities, right? So there's gonna be some a dwarf, um, a queen or princess that is black uh, and black skin, and there is an elf that is like with a Puerto Rican actor or something, also like dark skin and an elf. Um, so yeah, so as I said, very controversial topic, right? People have very strong opinions, and normally people start to call names immediately, and yeah. So I mean, I wanted to maybe not just about that specific example with this latest Lord of the Rings thing, but it just came to mind because it's a recurrent topic. And it's also, I mean, not just in terms of ethnicities, but also in terms of uh, representing also female characters, right? Or the misrepresentation sometimes about it. So, so yeah, I think it would be a very interesting thing to talk about it. But I don't know if if you think that would be the case. So I would like to know if you think that's something interesting to talk about during the stream. And I'm completely fine giving my opinion on the matter. And I'm very, I have a very very strong opinion about this. Miblerd, I get what you mean. You cannot get possessed by a flow. Yes, 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 and I love that. So that's why also, to be honest, doing these the live streams, painting and drawing at the same time is extremely hard for me. And that's also the reason why I am so unfocused and slow when I'm working on things during the stream, because I cannot I can I cannot really focus on the piece at hand. So yeah. Diego, what do you think of photobashing? Do you use it in your professional work? Uh, I don't have an opinion about it. It's just one tool, and yes, I do use it in my professional work, depending on what type of work. But yeah, it's just another tool. So yeah, nothing. I I don't have an opinion. Uh, I don't know. It's like, uh, so I don't really understand the question. It's like, what do you think about oil paints or about pencils? I don't know. Um, Frederic, hey, how are you doing? Happy to see you around. Uh, it's the only way I know to feel good and myself. Yeah, I totally get that feeling. I really do. I love it. I mean, when you get immersed into your work and it just like it just flows, and yeah, it's fantastic. Nothing else matter. Um, and it can be extremely addictive. I don't know about you guys, but sometimes I cannot stop painting. I have to continue until I'm exhausted, but I'm satisfied. I don't know. Cantabrian painting is like a meditation for me too. But sometimes I just need to turn it all off, get outside and go for a long walk, rain and or shine. Oh yeah, well of course, of course. Uh, that that's exactly the same for me. Thanks God that I have Bilbo, and even if I want or not, I have to go out to take him for a walk. Um, even though I would have died a long time ago already. So yeah, it is important to take breaks for sure. But I'm just talking in those rare occasions, right, where you are so inspired and immersed into the process itself that it's magical, and the time flies. Peter, check out YouTube Adel Wednesday Adams, same actress. It was the prototype for Wolves, right? Peter, jumping out for lunch. See you soon. Okay, enjoy your lunch, man. Uh, Me blurred. I think as long as stories are good, there is no harm. Although propaganda seldomly makes good stories. John Lemon, I am an Asian, but I don't want to see Asian actors appears in Lord of the Rings because contradicts it's contradicted to its setting based on Anglo-Saxon culture. Same as I don't think adding black white characters into traditional Chinese novels is a good way to display the ethnic diversity. Yes. Yes. All right, then we can jump into the topic. Yeah, I totally agree. Okay, so let's put a little bit of context about where I come from in this subject. So to make it crystal clear, I'm all for diversity in fiction, in fiction works. I totally do. I think there is absolutely no reason for not adding diversity. I mean it I mean I can understand why in certain culture. I mean I am a Caucasian, so it's natural that I tend to paint characters that are Caucasians because I think that's a natural thing. The same as I tend to do more male characters than female, and that's a natural thing to do, right? The same as plenty of female artists, they tend to they fall into doing more female characters, etc., etc. So that's a normal thing. All right, but as I was saying, I'm absolutely for diversity, both in sex, so representing having a proportionate and and diverse representation both in the all type of ethnicities and genders, right? I think that's the, and through my professional career, I've been an absolute advocate for it, and even getting into troubles with my bosses, trying to defend that we needed more, let's say, female characters because it didn't make any sense that all were male, etc., etc. So that's where I come from, right? And again, I'm completely up for it, but only, but in, I mean, but it needs to make sense within the fiction that you are trying to represent, because that's what it should be, in my humble opinion. Dictates the rules. So I'm being, and now I'm talking not just a professional but just as audience. I don't know if you have seen Troy from Netflix. So it's like going through the mythology of the War of Troy with well, what's his name in English? Achilles, or what's the name of the hero from the Iliad? Well, Achilles, but that's how you call it in English. I don't know. With gods, and they are. I'm sorry, but they are African, and that completely breaks for me the believability, because it doesn't belong there. You know, it's so forced. Yes, that no, it need to be diverse. We need to put it is like, but in that context, for that fiction, for that mythos, it doesn't belong there. And as you were very well put it, John Lemon, still, seriously, I love your name. It's like if, let's say that it's a myth about, like you say, Chinese or African, and they put a white dude just for having diversity. I don't want that. I don't know, like let's say this amazing series of zombies in Korea in the Middle Ages. If they put there a white dude just for diversity, it's like I would be exactly as opposed to that, because it doesn't belong there, because it is a historical setting, even though it is fantasy, right? Because we have zombies and stuff like that, but still the premise is it is an historical setting. So doing those type of forced diversity things, it's very disturbing to me. It's just like, I mean, since I was a little kid, I always loved Greek mythology and all of that. So to me, anything of that type of kind, I always will just look at it and consume as a audience, right? Because it really appeals to me. When I saw this Troy series, there was plenty of very good things in that series, but just that fact kind of broke the fiction to me, because it is not anymore the Iliad. Is not anymore that fictional that fiction. It is not anymore, and it is and I think it is so silly. I don't get it. I really don't. If it is a completely made up fictional stories with no I mean, there's like from nowadays, or I see absolutely no problem adding as much diversity as you can, because it is a good thing, right? We are a very diverse. I mean, not everywhere, but in general, we tend to be more diverse in our societies, and I think that it's good to include everybody within our the culture, right? In that sense. So, but I think it is, and this is when it comes like this very personal view, is that I think we need to be respectful with the original work of any author. And yes, of course, you can always argue that our is doing adaptations and etc etc. But still, you need to be faithful to the original narrative intent of the author or authors. And anything that just go outside that, I think it's wrong. And these type of policies, I think, falls into that. Um, I'm fine. I mean, and again, if they want to do it, fine. I will just not watch it. So I'm not like neither like ready to die on the hill with that as well. Well, they can like anything piece of fiction work or and art. Then everybody's free to do whatever they feel for. So I'm not anybody to say how they should do it, but I personally think that I'm absolutely not interested just because of that. And from an artistic point of view, so it has nothing to do with with the fact that it's from another ethnicity, but just that it breaks the fiction. And I think it is the same with these Lord of the Ring things. Yeah, I think it falls into the same thing. It is not anymore Tolkien work, and yeah, so that it doesn't bother me that much. I will still watch it if I get Amazon at some point, but it just like I know it's gonna pain me. It's gonna be painful to watch because it's not gonna be Tolkien world, and again, being respectful with the author's work is like you could say there is no logical reason for why they wouldn't have any color skins in Tolkien's world, right? And I would agree with that. Yeah, there is no logical reason for why it wouldn't be the case, and it's understandable that since he was a English man in on those years, and yeah, the society by then was pretty European centric and very racist in that regard, right? So, but I'm pretty sure that his intention wasn't like being racist. It's just that he just envisioned his world that way. We need to respect that. You know what I mean? It's and like you very well saying, I mean, the elves are. I mean, everything is based in this kind of Nordic and Celtic culture, and that's what it is. As much as we would like it to be different, but that's what it is. So as much as we need to be respectful for other cultures that are not Europeans, we need to be also be as respectful of culture or European history and traditions in that regard. I feel so. I mean, the same thing as yeah, anything, any type of story, historical setting, and they start to add ethnicities that don't belong to that. It doesn't. It's again. It's just like, what's the point of making something historical? And of you can have artistic licenses, of course. It depends on how serious you want to be historical accurate, right? But if you start that project with that premise that you are trying to be accurately depicting that time period, why you do that? You know, is to me it's just bunkers. I mean, being such a lover of history, so I don't know. I think it is very silly and actually makes how do you say a disservice to in favor of having diversity in fiction work, because again I'm absolutely in favor of it, but it need to be done um, properly, no con calzador as we say in Spanish. I don't know. Oh man. In these rants, I just completely missed so much of the chat. Sorry. uh, um, Frederic, I'm for that, but I want to understand in the lore. Um, uh, there are elves in the south. What is their culture, etc. In Tolkien's universe, I am for there being different ethnicities and for it to be coherent. You know, but okay, so we talk in that case. The thing is, he's very specific, right? There are plenty of, let's say, ethnicities for the race of men, uh, but elves are described as pale skin. That's about it, and there is a reason for it, because once again, I mean, we are talking about mythical creatures. I mean, they are not people, right? And they are based in mythological um, creatures from mythology, and that's what it is. So I don't know. It is, once again, it do, once they do that, it's not Tolkien world anymore. It's a pastiche of something else, and I'm an absolute lover of Tolkien work, and to me, it just already it breaks the fantasy, because it is not anymore what I have read. Um, so yeah. So again, this is a very personal take. So I'm talking as audience. I know that immediately it will just break the fiction for me. I will not. It's something else. So let's say we are talking about Harry Potter or something that is a piece of work, a modern piece of work that is from our times, and there is, unless there is some, like you are saying, some explanation in the lore for being in certain way, then there's absolutely no problem. And even I would even argue that we should try to aim for diversity, so to be more inclusive and that everybody can, I'm so happy that in the latest years there is more and more stories led by female characters, for instance, because it's like at some point it feels so stupid that there is only male heroes and protagonists, right? So uh, so yeah, I think there is an absolute valid argument for being proactive into creating and having diversity in fictional work. But Tolkien work is, it's, I mean, again, we are talking about classical work. It's already been done and it's a project of its time. So I don't know. We need to be faithful to the author's work. That's my point. Uh, let's say I will continue catching up on the chat, because if I just continue ranting, I miss everything. So sorry. Let's see. Sebastian, hey, muy buenas, bienvenido. Mibler, to me, race and ethnicity isn't even the most important classification in population most of the time. Well, for me, neither, for sure. I'm rather more an advocate of who best fits the job required for a desired output product. Sure, sure. But I mean, as I was saying, I still think there is an absolute valid argument for trying to add as much diversity in any type of fictional work, unless there is some very good reasons for maybe in that, I don't know, culture or world or whatever, they are in a certain way, which is totally fine as well. Um, but yeah, and as a matter of fact, I just as a spoiler alert, in my Space Marine tutorial, I dedicate a chapter in one of the episodes advocating for diversity, or considering thinking about diversity in ethnicities when representing Space Marines, because it makes sense. And I'm advocating for it more for narrative reasons. So it has nothing to do with political or anything. But that's, for example, a good example of a great situation where it makes a lot of sense doing it, right? Um, but yeah, anyway, so okay, let's see. Seb, Achilles, or yeah, I think that my problem is that I don't know how it is pronounced in English, um, but yeah, of course, in Spanish, I very well know. John Lemon, race and ethnics are not important if the character is being well written with an impressive character development, and that it's too much emphasized on ethics rather than the character. Absolutely, yes. But once again, I mean, and you see, it's like I still, again, I think there is an absolute valid point into trying to uh, aim for diversity in fictional work, right? Because again, we live in a diverse societies for the most cases, and most of the audience now is global. So it's very rare that if you do a certain type of work, it's not like back in the time where people that were going to see your work were from your same country and culture. So yeah, but now that it's more global, uh, I mean, it makes sense that um, to give the chance for everybody to relate in a easier way to the characters, and it's not always the same type of people being represented, right? Because I mean, we are very diverse, so and it shouldn't be any issue, right? So who cares what is the ethnicity of the character if he's a good character, right? But since it doesn't matter, then let's be diverse in that case, because it really doesn't matter, but it adds more richness in that sense. But again, it need to make sense. It need to uh, be natural and well done, and in those and this kind of policy of trying to enforce it, even in fictional work or classical work that doesn't belong to it. It's, in my case, I think it's not respectful for the art and the original intent of the author once again. And of course, I mean, I think it's also a good case where you need to see every example for case to case, right? Because you say, no, I'm doing an adaptation of Shakespeare's play, for instance, and it's an adaptation, and it's like, well, I can, unless you are trying to be very specific and historically accurate, I don't see what is the problem of having actors played with ethnicities that don't belong to somebody from England of that period, right? I don't see an issue because the accuracy of the period is not the important thing. Is the characters and the play itself. But if you are trying to do an historical accurate depiction of that time, then yes, you have to have only English looking people. That's how it is. And if not, then you are kind of destroying the original intent of the work. It's I don't know, it's like, if let's say that, I mean, it's like judging as people from the past with the lenses also of our times, as and judging them as racist or stuff like that. It's like, well, of course they were racist because they were from the Middle Ages, let's say, or whenever. But by the standards of their time, they were actually pretty decent people, right? So it's a very big mistake judging other times through the lenses of our times. And that applies to the work of art, I think. But of course, I think it's to be fair. One, I think I just mentioned that I think it's totally fine doing adaptations, and I have not. And then you open the gates for that, and I think that is fine as well. It might not work, or it might do, but again, then it's like the artistic freedom to do whatever you please, and then the public will judge if it's good or not. But so yeah, so in that, for example, going back to this idea that you are mentioning, John Lemon or Mibler, is that okay? So in the case of this example with the Lord of the Rings, a new series, is like, I'm pretty sure that those characters are going to be fantastic, and from as an isolated example of characters, they might be fantastic. I'm pretty sure that might be the case, but you are, again, you are not being respectful to the original work, and it is not Tolkien work anymore. It's something else, and I think that is a little bit of a shame, honestly. Yasumora, arriba Argentina. Arriba Argentina. Maybird, maybe best thing to do is to watch bad things fail and understand why. Yeah, totally. I think actually that series that I was mentioning before about the Troy series, I think it did pretty bad. And it is a shame because there were plenty of absolutely brilliant things in that series. But in my opinion, that thing with putting people of like African origin as zoos and stuff like that, it just like it completely breaks the fantasy because you are not in the Greek mythology anymore. Again, just going back to your same example, it's like if I'm watching something that is supposed to be in another culture, I don't know, like Aztec empire or something, and I get somebody Chinese or somebody African in the same way, I would say it's like or white Caucasian is like, what the fuck? This is doesn't belong here. If you are trying to make this believable, it doesn't. And fair enough for some people that can be okay, and fair enough. Then if they enjoy it, good for them. But for me, it's just like I cannot. I really cannot stand it. For me, once again, the being respectful for the original work, it's mandatory, I think. Diego, the question about photo bashing is because I have read some opinions about stealing creative properties from other people to do own work. So you take a nice picture of a good photographer and use it for a nice piece that they use in artwork, and so just like what happens to Jakub Rosalski some years ago. All right. Well, okay. So that's a very specific thing. Well, I mean, we would need to see case by case, right? But I mean, normally when you do photo bashing, you altered already so much the original work that is not anymore that work. So I don't think there is any normally any problem with that. The problem is, I guess, if you almost are taking entirely that photograph and don't change much. You put a color filter on top of it and you say done, then yeah, then I would agree that that's kind of not a good thing to do. Um, but normally, at least in my experience, when you are doing photo bashing, you are cannibalizing so much and altering so much and mixing so many photos and stuff that it is like there is no way that it can be recognized as the work of somebody at all. So but yeah, I don't know, that's in my experience what I have seen. John Lemon, I mean, even good authors still being limited by the limitations of their era, races, gender, etc. Yeah, exactly, and we need to accept it as what it is because it's actually, I think, it's a disservice not understanding the reasons and the historical context of when that piece of work is being done. Um, because it also helps us to understand better the author and the ideas and everything and put everything in context. So yeah, I totally agree. John Lemon, I think instead of modify the previous work to fit the modern model standards, we should be aware of that limitation while creating new works. Exactly, exactly, exactly. That's exactly my point. And again, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. again, as I said, I have even gets as close as getting into trouble in my previous work on studios because of pushing this. I can actually speak very openly about it. I don't care. But for example, working for the division, and we had so many. I was working on the enemy factions, and there was not a single woman into all the NPC characters, and it's like, okay, this doesn't make any sense. We must have at least 50-50 because we are supposed to be representing the people that live in New York. Nowadays, New York. So we need to have people of all type of races, of ethnicities, of gender. I mean, what the hell? I mean, it doesn't make sense that that is only Caucasian males, right? And thanks God, yeah, it was. That's how it was done. The same thing with sexualizing characters and stuff like that. I have gotten into so many very hard discussions with my bosses in some projects and advocating for stopping sexualizing some of female characters. And yeah, so but everything need to have an explanation and being plausible and being believable. So John Lemon, for me, Toil from Hobbit is a good example showing that how strong female characters emerge with the original story. Toriel, you are talking about the film, the films of the Hobbits. I cannot remember names of of characters if they are invented. It's like the female character that was invented for the films. I don't know. It's like, let's say, let's put an outrageous example. But it's like if you said, well, let's say, like, well, for the sake of diversity, let's change Galadriel as a, let's make it being played by um, Samuel L. Jackson. Right? Why not? Just too many females. Let's just put a male and black to play Galadriel. It's like, well, I'm sorry. That would be so outrageous. So that's kind of what they are doing. The same as I heard that there was somebody arguing for making Gandalf a woman. It's like, uh, why? I mean, it doesn't. The same way as if you just turn it the other way around. Let's say if you let's take another example of Greek mythology. If it's with the goddess Athena, and you say, yeah, let's make him a male, because it's like, why? It doesn't make any sense. I mean, it's just like so silly. So it is kind of this type of things that it's I find so ridiculous and silly, and once again, that is not respectful for the original work. Frederic, yeah, it's a fictional world, not real. Yeah, but I mean, okay, I'm not sure exactly what you mean by that. I don't understand exactly what you are arguing with that. Um, but for example, that's one argument that I hear, and I'm not sure if you are saying this, Frederic, or it's something else. But let's say like with Tolkien, right? It's like, yeah, but it's a fictional work. Who cares? It's like, well, again, sure, uh, I understand. Yeah, who cares? It's fictional, so why not? It's like, well, because the original author envisioned this world in this specific way, and if if you modify it, then it's not that author's work anymore. That's my argument, and that's what I mean of being faithful and respectful for the original author's vision. Now, so, and I repeat, and I just, there's nobody there, any troll that just go and accuse me of something. Uh, so I just wanted to make very clear, if nowadays, if you are creating a fictional world, uh, and there is no good reason within the lore of that fictional work that you are doing for not having diversity, I think you should have as much diversity as possible. I think that's a good thing to have. But when we are talking about some classical work, and I'm sorry, but not. Uh, and again, and as a side note, and I think I just mentioned already, it's just like, of course, when it comes to artistic creation, everybody should be free to do whatever. So if people are compelled to do that, then I would not argue that they shouldn't be allowed to do it. I think definitely everybody should do whatever they feel like, and be the public decide if they like it or not. So I'm just sharing my personal opinion. I would be, and I am of the public, that I just completely, it breaks the fantasy for me in those specific examples. For example, if I talk about my personal project that I'm envisioning and planning to work with, which is completely fictional, it is a science fiction in a completely invented universe and everything. Diversity, it's gonna be there because it makes no sense not to have it. Because there's no good reason. I mean, within the lore. So I'm envisioning to be very diverse in that sense and have plenty of women and men, and because I want it to be. I think it brings a lot of very nice creative possibilities then if just everybody is the same. So I have, yeah, I don't know, maybe I just like going around circles, and it's pretty clear, and so please let me know if I should shut up. But it's a subject that I feel very passionate about, and since I like so much fictional work and storytelling and all these things, and I find it very frustrating sometimes. Lysis, I have only watched the movies, but generally my take is diversity where it makes sense, it's fine, and sometimes even more realistic. But in other cases, it's like it seems forced. Yeah, yes, yeah. And to me, in those cases that I'm talking about, I feel it feels extremely forced. It's just to the point that is, silly. Again, let's let's. I will be then. up for changing Galadriel to be played by Samuel L. Jackson. Pontus, Amazon has a minority quota for their productions. They are not doing it to make the product better. Okay, then there you go. That explains that it is forced to meet that quota, even if it doesn't make sense within the fictional work that they are trying to represent. Maybird, I suspect minority quota is doing probably more bad than good. I don't know. I mean, I, I don't know. I don't get the need for representation, as I have always been inspired to imitate good morality from any ethnicity on a show or movie. I'm not white, but I sure want to be more like Superman or whatever. Sure, sure, but I think, I mean, as an argument in favor of it, it's just that if all the let's say I mean, I'm doing a misrepresentation here, but just for the sake of the example, if all the type of stories, all the type of characters represent certain are as it's been for some time are always based on the same culture and the same ethnicities, then it is very limited. I mean, without getting into a political discussion here, but just from a purely creative point of view, it's a shame because it's very limited. I mean, with so many amazing stories and stuff out there to enjoy, right? So since film industry, for instance, been more a Western thing, except for maybe Hollywood in more recent times. Well, obviously, it makes sense that it was more centered into Western culture and Western traditions and stuff like that. But I mean, there are so many awesome stories and mythologies and folklore of other cultures around the world and history that is not just Europeans, and it's like so I think it is important to aim for the sake of just diversity in the sense of not making all the time the same thing and just watching all the time the same thing. So, for example, all these new series in Netflix done by South Koreans, like this one, the Kingdom, right? I loved it because it felt so fresh. Because I have never seen any story, any series, any any film contextualized in that time period and in Korea, and seeing those costumes, those hats that I have never seen in my life, it felt so awesome and refreshing. So I think it is important to aim for diversity in that sense. And then once again, if we go into diversity in the sense of having different ethnicities in plays and or fictional work, again, if it's not forced and it's something fictional, and then I'm totally up for it. I think it offers the possibility for everybody um, to relate to those characters better. I think. Um, I mean, and I understand that at the end the end goal is to normalize just the fact that, as we are all talking, ethnicities are not an important factor, and it shouldn't be, right? Who cares if you look Asian or you look African or you look Caucasian or you look South American, or it shouldn't be of any importance, right? So just by putting diversity in fictional work, then you normalize that, and I think that's a very positive thing. But yeah. John Lemon, yeah, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I am Chinese, and I hate seeing awkward Asian characters from the minority quota. Um, yeah, I mean, like you very well said, John Lemon. I mean, uh, any any film or anything that it's based, and let's say not a historical type of film, but just something based on some folk tale or something like that from Chinese tradition. And you put me a black guy or black woman and a Caucasian person just for meeting those quotas, and I would be outraged. I mean, I wouldn't like it, because then it wouldn't feel genuine. It wouldn't feel Chinese if it's trying to tell that folk uh, Chinese tale, right? Lightenberg, I love your work. Thank you. Thank you. That is very kind to say. Pontus, I think people need to be represented, but but, uh, but then they need to make shows where it makes sense. Yeah, I agree with you, Miguel. It feels very unnecessary. For example, um, about this other side of diversity when it comes to having female characters or not. Um, a film that I absolutely adore. I I think it's I think it's a masterpiece. Of course, this is a very personal opinion. You might hate it. I don't know, but the latest Mad Max film. So you have a huge amount of female characters. You could actually argue that it's led mostly by female characters, and and the character of Max, Mad Max. He just takes a secondary role, but it's done in such a clever way, in such a way that it doesn't feel forced. And you have so many absolutely badass characters, female characters, that I love it. So that's another example that is quite extreme in that sense, but it works and it's fantastic. And I think it is a good example of how you do it properly. Why all the action characters need to be male, right? Um, Peter, Galadriel, give me the motherfucking ring, Proto. Yes. uh, yeah, actually, I would love. a Galadriel being played by Samuel L. Jackson. That would be fantastic. uh, if they cast Samuel L. Jackson, it's better to be a damn parody. But that's what I mean, right? It's like it feels like a parody, but that's kind of what they are doing. And I guess I mean in this example with the new series, at least it's not as bad because those are invented characters for the series. So it is it's not as bad as if changing like the some actress I think was suggesting to play Gandalf, that a woman should be playing Gandalf instead. It's like Sakuga Sensei. Oh my God! All your paintings are really impressive and gorgeous. Thank you. That is very kind of you to say. Thank you. Thank you. I never know really what to say to this type of comments, but yeah, thanks. Lucius, yeah, if they put a white dude in Kingdom, it would be very weird. Amazing show, by the way. Yeah, it is, right? I enjoyed it immensely, and and more than anything, just this fresh thing. Just because I have never seen it, it's the same thing as, for example, it happened to me the same thing when before horror Japanese films became pretty common. So it was with the Ring, the original Ring film. When it came in Europe, I don't know in the United States, but in Europe I mean, we were not used to that type of horror stories, right? With that way of telling stories as the Japanese do, and absolutely loved it because of that, because of how fresh it felt. Because that's a way of telling a story that is not Western. It's taking lots of things from their traditions, and I loved it, and it felt extremely scary because of that. Because I wasn't, it was completely new. It was very uh, exotic in that sense and unknown. And of course, for uh, uh, all the best horror needs to have this element of unknown and not understanding everything. So yeah, I think that that was another very impactful experience for me of watching something new and from another culture, and it was absolutely fantastic. All right, guys, I think it's time for me just to go to bed. Surprisingly, the time has brother, how do you say, has the past fly. I cannot speak. I'm so tired. It has gone super fast. Anyway, um, surprisingly fast. Well, it felt that I didn't pass like even an hour. Um, all right, so sorry for today that I wasn't well. Now in the last part of the stream, I felt a little bit more energetic because of the topic. Because I it's a topic that I like to talk about. I feel very passionate about. But yeah. Anyway, like always, an absolute pleasure Uh, I hope that all of you have a fantastic week, that you paint and draw a lot, that you feel very creative. If you are somewhere in Ukraine, please stay safe and sound, and fuck Putin. So yeah, there you go. Take care, everybody, and see you next week, same time, same day. Bye bye.